there are 3 or 4 issues that are on the formal agenda of the G8, and I suspect the summit will be dominated by virtually everything else. So the formal items are financial support to the regimes undergoing transition in the Arab Spring, what's called the Deauville process, issues of energy efficiency, and issues of food security. Those are the dominant themes on the formal agenda. But I suspect in reality the summit will be dominated by 2 or 3 different themes: the Eurozone crisis, the crisis in Syria, and tensions with Russia. And Mr. Putin's decision not to come could be interpreted as a bad sign, could be interpreted as a sign they don't want to have a clash this early. Nevertheless, I think that fact of his not coming will be a major feature in the atmosphere at Camp David. We've already done most of the negotiations on the summit communique on the Deauville process on energy and food. So that work is largely done. That work has been done by Sherpas. There'll be some discussion around those issues in the formal session, but I think a lot of the airtime and the dinners and the informal time will go to the crisis issues, the Eurozone, Syria, and I think behind the scenes also the US-Russia relationship. Another theme that I think will be present in the session, if not formally part of the agenda, is the question of how it is that the West, and of course the President of Russia makes this a little bit of an awkward session to have these discussions, but how it is that the West deals with the rise of new powers. How does it deal with China? How does it deal with Brazil? How does it deal with India? And I think the United States is looking to stimulate some common discussion across its Western allies about how we deal with this phenomenon, rather than each of us running separately to get better trade deals with China or dealing separately with India. The administration is looking to have some discussion across the West about how we cope with this phenomenon. If you were going to sit down right now and say, let's get together a group of core Western allies to discuss foreign policy and security strategy, Italy wouldn't be there. It's not at all obvious why Canada is there in those terms. Australia probably would be there. So it's an odd grouping of the West. And if you saw it as a format in which you had the West cohering its financial or its foreign policy and security strategy, then why on earth is Russia there? And if Russia's there, so it's a tool for the West to reach out to new or sort of non-Western powers, then why on earth aren't India and Brazil and China there? So it's neither fish nor fowl. It's betwixt and between. It's not a tool of the West, nor is it a tool for integrating or sort of problem solving between the West and the rising powers. I think the U.S. administration came very close to simply abandoning the G8 about 1.5 years ago. The French presidency of the G8 was a nightmare. There was nothing positive about it, made no sense at the time. Arab Spring in a way rescued the G8, because in the Arab Spring context, having a tool for the European West and the United States to cohere policy was pretty useful. I don't think you needed the G8 summit to do that, but it so happened that it coincided, and the Deauville process was born out of that, and that's given it some continued relevance, but I think it's going to be hard for the G8 to figure out what its relevance is in the coming years.